Hey, Mr. Janeski, how's it going? So today I decided to make a vlog, partly because I love Casey Neistat and his vlogging style, and I just thought it'd be a cool medium to kind of express my thoughts, maybe just analyze a little bit differently as opposed to writing it on paper. So for this project, I decided to do a night. I did George Clifford's night, who is the Earl of Cumberland. So I did this night. You also asked us to draw one. So I spent a good bit of time drawing this guy right here. Um, I did trace the outline of it just to make sure I got the outline, and then I did all the detailing myself. I've been working pretty hard at learning how to draw, and so decided to take a little bit of time, maybe an hour or so, just really get down in the detail and try to create something that was worthwhile. So just go ahead and start. This art piece is titled "The Armor Garniture of George Clifford," who lived from 1558 to 1605, and he is the third Earl of Cumberland. I'm looking at this little note sheet here, just so if I'm looking down, you know what I'm doing. Um, so essentially, this is a piece of armor um, that that was essentially created for him to be able to wear and use within like jousting battles and things along those lines. Actually, this summer I had a chance to go to England with my parents, and I toured various castles and ended up coming across something very similar to this. It was not this exact one. I know that because this is being housed currently in Greenwich, England, and I was in London. But something kind of cool is this the third Earl of Cumberland was accepted into the Knights of the Garter, and that's something that I spent a lot of time learning about when I was there at Windsor Castle, and it's something that really interests me and gave me a lot of hope to become a knight one day. So just to get into it, the title of the piece I just shared, the medium is steel, gold, leather, and various textiles and different different materials that there'd be too many to mention. Um, the artist or armorer, as they call him, is Jacob Halder, and it was created in 1586. And that is actually before the Earl died in 1605. He was born in 1556. It stands at right around 69 and a half inches tall and weighs 60 pounds, so 60 pounds of metal. Um, so we're going to get into the stylistic period and cultural context first. So like I said earlier, it's being housed in Greenwich, England, which is where it was originally crafted, and where the Earl of Cumberland lived. So when was this time period? It was during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, and essentially this knight was one of her, or this earl was one of her best knights. So he was selected into the Knight of Garter after 2 years of serving and making a few different accomplishments along the way. So essentially, the Knight of the Garter is the Kingdom of England's best knights, or as it should be put, the best servants of England. So they don't necessarily have to be citizens of England. They don't have to be, or I should, instead of saying England, I should say Great Britain. They don't have to be citizens of Great Britain. They don't have to be, they don't have to live in Great Britain. They just have to have served the kingdom or served the king and queen to a great extent. With that being said, that means the Earl of Cumberland was one of 23 knights selected to be a part of this. Currently on the Knight of Garter, we have Queen Elizabeth, we have, and we have also Prince William in today's current time. Prince William was actually I believe he was the 1,000th knight to be issued onto the Knight of Garter, but I could be mistaken. It's some large number with two zeros, at least two zeros. Maybe it was, I believe it was 1,000th, which is just incredible. So they have 23 Knights of the Garter at one time in the entire kingdom, and so this armor was selected to be a part of it, or this man's armor, this man whose armor was created for. So essentially, the cultural time point in time stands. This is going on. This man was incredibly important. He was incredibly just noble and just looked after. As a Knight of the Garter, you can pretty much do whatever you'd like. You have your nobility and you would never do anything wrong, but you're kind of protected and you're just looked up to by the entire kingdom. So now we're going to look at the iconography. So, like I said earlier, he's part of the Garter. He's part of the most prestigious knighthood that anyone can ever be a part of. Every king, every queen has been a part of this. There's only 23 standing at one point in time. Never any more, only less. 23 because that gives you a good jousting team, I believe. I'm gonna just check real quick to make sure that's 23. But while I'm doing that, now we're gonna look at just the idea of the royalty that was behind it. So he was an Earl of Cumberland. So essentially, that meant that he had some sort of great power. He was looked after. He was an earl. Just going back to the Garter, the Order of the Garter is the highest order of chivalry and the third most prestigious honor, inferior of the Victoria Cross and George Cross in England and the United Kingdom. It is dedicated image in the arms of St. George, English patron saint. So essentially, he was in this most noble class, this royal class. That the first introduction was in 1348. So this thing has been just standing for just an incredible amount of time. He is just this important figure. He's a part of this royalty. This also shows great strength. Although it's only 69.5 inches tall, it weighs 60 pounds of solid steel and gold and just these precious metals that you wouldn't rival. I think just this sculpture, this armor is just an incredible feat in itself. Just whether it be the weight, the height, or the precious metals that go inside of it. I think it just shows the strength of the United Kingdom as well as the strength of the individual that they're creating it after. Now we're going to look at the technique. So this beautifully skilled piece of art was not manufactured. During this time, 1586, they did not have the machinery that we have today. Frankly, it was mostly done by hand and just took countless hours, countless days, countless years to be able to create. Whether it be the infusion of different materials or just the minute details that they had, is just an incredible feat. So they had this technique and the structure of the knight itself. It was a portrait of this man, of George Clifford, and it was supposed to resemble him in his body structure. I don't imagine George was very tall. Most of the men back there weren't very tall. The various bodies and just their makeup was a lot smaller than ours today. Probably because of nutrition and other things like that, as seen in their culture. It's another thing to look at within the culture of this piece is the people back then were a lot different. I think the shapes are also very important when viewing this. As you can see in both of my designs, or in my design and the actual statue or armor, they're very rigid and pointy lines. So this kind of gives you a fierce look, just this idea of you should be scared of me, this intimidation factor. Because when you start to introduce sharp lines, you start to think of swords and you start to think of battle, and that's kind of what they wanted to get at. This armor was actually built for the field and for jousting. I don't believe it was ever used just due to its pristine condition, but it was built just in case it needed to be. It was built to the highest standard. And I also think that the texture is also very important. It's not a soft piece of metal. It's your steel. Steel is one of the hardest metals, and then you also have gold accents, which just add this glamour piece. Only the richest of the rich had gold, and frankly, it was lined in it. They didn't seem to care about the price. Rather, just put it all on the line for it. And then one other thing within the technique is the art arrangement. As you can see, it's just standing on a box. I think this was particularly done in order to demonstrate what he'd actually look like standing up inside of it. I bet, when they first had this, it probably was used as an art piece, but not quite like it is today. Today it's being housed in a museum, and it's being put up like that in order to show what life would be like and what someone would be like within inside of it. What you could see someone actually using it and looking like. Now we're going to look at the significance, the function, and the purpose of this piece. So first, social. I think this is supposed to be a social image. It's supposed to demonstrate what the perfect person is supposed to look like, what you should strive to be as a citizen, to be a Knight of the Garter, to be noble to the Queen and King, and just to be this great symbol of nobility and chivalry within the kingdom. Next is political. It doesn't get more political than being a knight for the Queen, being one of the Queen's best knights. I think Queen Elizabeth picked this man because I need to do a little bit more research on it, but you probably picked this man due to his just class, chivalry, and just his pure dedication to the royal family and his just the political view around him was that of someone that deserved this kind of honor. Not your everyday citizen had a piece of armor created for them. And I think that's another thing to consider, that this was not something that was cheap, and it was not something that was often done. So if this was done, you had to be somewhere high up in the social class. I also think it demonstrates various popular values within society. That's the next thing we'll look at. So the popular values within society that are represented through this could be wealth demonstrated through gold and just nice metals, as well as the strength that it provides. I think the strength that it shows is something that was really valued within society, in that people valued that a man looked very strong compared to the other men, as well as they valued strength as a whole. No one wanted to be viewed as a lesser man or as lesser in society. And I think that's why you saw jousting. That's why you saw the battles the way you did. And that's why you see this armor being constructed like it is. So what are some themes to reconsider? I think some themes are strength, nobility, just overall power. I think those are three themes that you can definitely see in this, whether it be in the stance that the man has. He has two fists that are almost clenched as he's looking off into the distance, as if he's looking at someone, gazing on them and ready for battle, or just simply in his posture, his straight up posture, ready to take on the world as the knight he is. So what do these various themes and these different contexts mean, and what value do they present us? I think the value to us today is we can look back on the past and kind of see how they lived, and then potentially influence how we live today. We obviously don't have this kind of armor in our society now. Granted, in England still today, the Knight of the Garter, as they're put in each and every year, they get their own armor, they get their own helmets, specifically designed to them and specifically for them. But I think it's important for us to consider the past and realize that we should still honor those above us, whether it be the president or whoever is ahead of us in the government. I think although we should act within, with our free speech and representing our ideas, we should also respect those that are above us. I think that's demonstrated through this piece. I'm not sure if the title has any significance to us today, other than it's very factual and kind of tells us exactly what's going on. It is a piece of armor, and that's exactly what it is. And then I think the last thing to look at is just just what does this all mean collectively? So we have this third Earl of Cumberland, George Clifford. He has a 69.5-inch statue that is 60 pounds. It's steel, gold, textile, just this beautiful piece of artwork. It has been beautifully traced and colored by yours truly. So why do we need this piece of artwork, and why do we need to analyze it? I think first off, it just gives us a great glimpse into the history. I like history myself, and I believe that just knowing more about your past can connect you more to it and just help you realize what exactly is going on. I think that's one thing that this piece of artwork does. It connects us to the past and just gives us a better appreciation from where we come from as Americans. Way back when our ancestors used to live in England, or my specific ancestors. I'm related to the Earls of Macclesfield, back in Macclesfield, the United Kingdom. So I think it helps us look back there. I also think that just having something along these lines allows us to see the strengths in society and the power in society as they evolve over time. So what people view as important and view as just the upper class. I think once we start to be able to dive into that and see what people see over the course of history, we'll be able to predict the future and also see how we're working in the present. So one thing I'm really interested in, I think relates perfectly to this, is the idea of business. So as a business owner, you want to find the trends over time and then predict the trends for the future. And I think by looking at this kind of history, or looking at Macbeth and looking at this armor that we have today, we're able to see kind of how people think and how people, like the trends that they experience throughout their lives. And then we're able to apply that to the future and hopefully make predictions that will help us in the future. So I believe that's hit all the points. If not, I'll come back and add a little bit more later. But thank you so much for watching. I look forward to all the comments, and this has been Satirical Crap. I appreciate it. Quick note, just want to let you know that there are 24 knights in the garter, not 23. There couldn't have been an odd number for the jousting teams. There had to be an even. Just to clarify, so you're not going around spitting false facts like I was.